Hello and welcome to the 9th episode of 3DS Max Tutorials. In this one we're going to be talking about UV unwrapping. I'm going to show you how to UV unwrap this. This is the industry standard for texturing. So what we're going to do is, first off, we're not even going to go into Material Editor. The Material Editor is not used for this yet. So what we're going to do is go over to Modifiers, go into Modifier, if it will. Once you have the object selected, of course, you go down to UV Unwrap. Now the object goes a sort of green color, and you're going to change your view type to hidden line so it's easier to see and also makes it look like it's something out the matrix. And now this is how you would do it. So you open up your UV editor, which brings up this very complicated, very weird looking thing. This is all the polygons which you will see in this object. So if you select them all and just pull them out of the way and switch to polygon mode. Now what you're going to want to do is just start selecting them. Just select them all. And then you go down in this and you see across here says projection, and this is how the texture is going to be put onto the object. So what you do is you hit Panula. Is it Panula? Nope. Panamap. Apologies for my really shoddy pronunciation. And then you can go across and you can change the type. So you have the moving, you got the rotating, it's basically the same stuff you'd have for actually editing the object, but you're editing the texture map now. You're doing the texture mapping. So you hit freeform, go to the top corner, you hold down Alt so it uniforms this, and you scale it inwards. Actually wait, which way around was it? Is it Control? No wait, it was Control. What you do is you go across to freeform, you hold down Control, and you scale it down. Now what I like to do is I like to go and have this checkered grid. You have to keep all your textures within the checkered grid. Right, and you go down, shrink it down. And then you do this for the entire object, so whatever you feel you can, you apply this too. So now I'm just going to go and show you a few other ways, because there's not just one way of getting all of these sorted. So if I go into this viewport and I select all of these, I can then go and use a cylindrical and have a quick check to make sure all of these are correct. You can see this is a cylindrical version because it's more of a cylindrical object. You have to think of it in the terms of what the object looks like, should I say. And then you can go and you always unclick the projection before you go to edit, because you can't, like, if I were to do this, you can't actually physically move or touch anything there. So you unselect that and then you can scale it down, put it up there, and do all of that. Of course, for larger objects you have to compensate for size, and that is how you would start to UV unwrap it. So you just go around and you constantly select new places, you do that, you'd apply the plane, get that, rinse, repeat basically, until you have the entire thing. You have all of these things here mapped out in this small plane. And then once you've done that, you'd first off save this, so you'd go over to this part here, you come down to save, you'd hit save, of course, and then you have UV files and you just call it whatever you feel it is. You'd hit save, and that is saved so that 3ds Max remembers where all these texture maps were. And then the other thing you do is you go across to tools and you go render UV mapping. And I haven't completely done this, but this is just a demonstration of how it works. So once you've done this, you select all of this, you change your mode to whichever one you feel is most needed. I would choose solid. Now when you hit render, you'll see that you get a new window showing what's been rendered. And then like, this is showing, so like, you can check if there's any like overlapping or if there's anything you've missed. So you have a quick look, you check with the texture map, you check that there's no missing ones, and then you go and you hit save on this one, and you can save it and just call it like can just call it UV map or whatever you feel file name could be. I save it as a PNG, and you save that there, and I would go grayscale for this one myself, and then that's saved. And then what you can do is, if I just go and open Photoshop, give me a moment, what you can do once you've saved it there, you can go into Photoshop, and I can't actually reach this button, you can go and open the file in Photoshop. This is where you will be applying new layers and stuff in order to texture it the industry way. This is how it would be done within the industry. So you'd like first off mark out, let's just put down 1, 2, 3, 4, stuff like that, and then once you've done all that, you'd go and import it back into 3ds Max, and you'd use the material editor. So I go back here, go into your material editor after you've done all this, so just hit yes to that. You go in material editor, you throw your material on, you go out of hidden line form, you go into realistic, you'd apply your texture, so blah blah blah, and then the UV wrap, when you go back into your modifiers, you select your object, you've gone back in, you apply the texture to this, and it will be mapped to the entire object. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you found it informative.